Christmas and happy holidays, one and all, from Drinking Champagne and the On the Wrong Lead podcast network. I know Josh usually opens this, but he had no idea I had one of these. And thankfully for him, my father insisted I take this with me to the Christmas Day festivities over at my girlfriend's family's house in a couple of days. So I had it handy, and here we go.
That's so funny. Yeah, I left the room right before we started, and apparently he snuck it in right before
There
when
were
I got
other
back.
reasons. I needed to clean up my podcast recording area. It was kind of a mess after a virtual holiday party for work the other day. But then I realized, wait a minute, I have this hat. I may as well wear it because when the hell else am I going to get to wear a Santa hat?
Hey, that's a very good point. I mean, this is the whole reason you wanted to get back into content, so you could wear Santa hats and make wrestling references randomly.
And construct tickets in ways that bring out the ticket police. Let's not forget that.
That is true. Our very own Mark messaged
I
you
wasn't
about.
going to throw him under the bus. You did.
Yeah, I'll throw Mark under the bus.
Do you have the backup beeping on your soundboard there? If we could
I
back
do
up the
not. I
bus that
wish
you just threw him
I
under.
might need that for
Okay.
the.
Beep, 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 beep.
Oh man, yeah. He and he is no stranger to constructing interesting tickets. We'll say it this way, right? But yeah, we had. How was going back home? Anything fun happen?
Um, Somebody on the plane going into Newark got caught vaping in the bathroom. That was fun. Appreciated that. We're halfway between Oakland and Newark. I'm on my computer doing something, and all of a sudden I hear this ding, ding, ding noise. And I'm wondering what that is because I've been on a bunch of planes. And you hear the ding every once in a while, and it's somebody calling the flight attendant, and you hear certain sounds. I hadn't heard three in a row. And it turned out that may have been the smoke detector in the bathroom because after that happened, all of the flight attendants, after somebody had gotten on a phone and heard what happened, all the flight attendants gathered at the front of the plane and they looked really, really worried. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, if we're going down, nice knowing you, everybody. Appreciate that. But as it turned out, somebody then got on the speaker and said, please do not vape in the lavatory. And in the meantime, I'm rolling my eyes because look, it's 2022. If you don't know that you can't smoke on a plane for fear of lighting the plane on fire, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, we've seen some weird stuff on planes. Nothing that crazy. I mean, mostly just a garden variety. People trying to shove from like row 36 all the way up to row 2 to get out before them.
Oh,
Um, just like that kind of nonsense. Um, but no, like, yeah, I don't know, man. People have just lost their fucking minds. I don't know.
people suck. The one thing I will say, first of all, of course, great seeing my family. Great seeing some people that I don't get to see nearly enough. Being out here in California, going back to upstate New York for a couple of days. So, to those of you who took the time to say hi, spend some time, know that I love you, know that I appreciate you. The other thing that I gathered from this trip. I downloaded a video game that I've played a couple of renewals of in past years. Josh, have you ever played Football Manager?
Yes, to excess in certain years.
Yes, I downloaded this year's version and I went looking for some team that was owned by a bunch of idiot Americans at a lower division so that, hey, maybe I can, bring them up to a higher division, whatever. And I wound up picking up Crawley Town over in the Sky Bet Division 2 league over in England. There's the Premier League, there's the league right below that. There's the league right below that. And then there's the league Crawley Town is in because they're owned by a bunch of American cryptocurrency investors. So you can imagine that there's a lot of room for nonsense, hijinks, and shenanigans. Well, was able to play an entire season with them over the course of my time back east. wound up winning the 2022-23 league title, and we're now going into Division One with a whole bunch of loans from a bunch of clubs much more talented than ours that just have no playing time to go around. So we'll see how that goes, but that gives me something to play on very long 6-hour plane rides when I just have nothing else to do and can't sleep on planes. I don't know if I've told you that. I can't sleep on airplanes. It's a problem. If I could buy that, I would.
I have no problem sleeping on planes. My neck usually ends up hurting, but
No,
yeah,
that's a
I
big
can usually fall
problem.
asleep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Are you playing on iPad or are you playing on a laptop?
I'm playing on my laptop.
Okay, so you're
Thankfully for
playing the full version. Okay.
yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because they have like the mobile version, then they have one called Touch,
Yeah.
which is like the in between, and then they have the full version. But yeah, I haven't played this year's yet. I think I have every other year going back to like 2017. So I buy it every year, but I haven't had a chance to check it out. I might I might check it out this next week. So with work, um, starting Friday, I'm off until the 3rd. So we get the university is nice enough to gift us some days off that so we get our holidays, obviously, and then they give us these extra gift days. So it's basically an extra 4 days off, and then we have to burn a vacation day for like the Tuesday or Wednesday of the week between Christmas and New Year's. But basically, you burn one day and you get 7 days off. So
That'll work.
yeah, yeah, it's one of the great perks of working for
You
this
take that
university.
trade
So
every day.
yeah. So, my, and video gaming is definitely one of my, uh, probably my main hobby outside of horse racing. It might actually be my main hobby over horse racing, but Caleb and I and our boy Steven, we play a lot of League of Legends. But I'm going to be off during the day, so my guess is I've been thinking about maybe possibly buying the new World of Warcraft expansion and playing that. But I don't know if you guys got any ideas of stuff to play. Put it in the comments, shoot me a message on Twitter. Love to hear what you guys are playing. But yeah, Football Manager might be on the list there. But speaking of Christmas time, probably the biggest Christmas tradition or day after Christmas tradition. It's going to be Santa Anita opening day,
That's
Malibu
for
Day.
sure. Yeah. Now, we should note that other tracks are getting in on the action. Gulfstream Park, which is, of course, also owned by the Stronach Group, their opening day for their championship meet, Monday, December 26th. Fairgrounds has a monster card on December 26th, something like 9 stakes races on that card. Lots going on, a
And
lot of track.
grass racing. Apparently, the
Yeah,
grass might be back.
really?
Yeah,
Wow.
they carded grass races. We'll see if they happen.
Fingers, toes, and eyes all crossed. Hopefully, they've been on Santa's nice list as opposed to the naughty list. And yes, we are going to overuse holiday puns like crazy on this particular show. Well, I am at least. I don't know
Yeah,
about
I
you.
was gonna say Andrew will probably be doing the heavy lifting on that. But yeah, this Santa Anita card, I took a brief look at the entire thing. We're going to cover the early pick five here. And then tomorrow night or tonight, depending on when you're listening to this, we will be covering on Thursday night the late pick five. And I'm planning on trying to do a stream during opening day, but I gotta get schedules and I gotta figure out when people are free or if anybody's free. Otherwise, it might
Yeah,
just be me
that's
on there.
you'll get a kick out of this one. I don't think I can do that.
Napa.
Um, my girlfriend's aunt is having a birthday, and yes, they are doing brunch in Napa, about an hour from where I am, at noon Pacific time. Shoots the entire card to all hell.
Well, get your bets in early. Bet
You
early and
betcha.
often.
Yep, bets in early, and there will be, every half hour I'm going to need to slip off somewhere to yell at my phone. Absolutely. So yeah, we'll see how that goes, but no, that's going to be very nice. Love my girlfriend very much, love her family very much, but that's one of those times where you just go, really today.
Yeah, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
Darn, you have to go to Napa Valley.
And eat on someone else's tab. I
Yeah.
know it's
Oh.
the absolute worst. Do you have the boo sound effect there just so we can illustrate how horrible this is? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got to have them following us all the way up to Healdsburg. But on a serious note, this card, look, much has been made about the state of California racing over the last couple of years. Personally, I worked for HRTV for a year and a half and then worked at TVG for another 2 years. I remember when every Saturday at Santa Anita Park meant something. It's not that way anymore. Having said that, the opening day cards on December 26th of each year are usually about as good as it gets. And this card, it's a really good one. This early pick five, I think, has a lot of value to it. I think has a lot of intrigue to it. And that's with a couple of short ish fields thrown into the mix. The back half of the card has some very big races. 3 grade ones on this card, 3 grade twos as well, dotting the 11 race program. And we actually kick things off with the grade 2 Mathis Mile. Now, this is actually a serious question and it's going to come off like a dad joke. It's not. This used to be the Mathis Brothers Mile, named after a chain of furniture stores down in the Southern California area. Now it's just the Mathis Mile. Was there a falling out between the brothers? I don't know, but it's a very strange thing, right? Now that you're thinking about it?
I think it just sounds better because I'm pretty sure they had I forgot. I saw some marketing material or a tweet or something, and they called out specifically the Mathis brothers. So it might just be Mathis Miles sounds
I
better.
would like to think that there's only one of the Mathises that's actually interested in horse racing. Give it a juicy backstory. Come on. Clearly, one of us works in marketing, and it's not you.
And no, it's just alliteration. Suckers for alliteration.
Well, apparently so. And I hope people are suckers for the likely favorite. That's number one, Balnikov, who comes in off of a win in the grade 3 Bryan Station at Keeneland. I'm not here to tell you this horse doesn't have talent. He does, but he's pretty pace dependent, Josh. And I don't think there's a ton of early speed in this particular race. Maybe Belnikov wins, but you're talking about a horse that I think should be in the 5-2, 3-1 range. And I think he's going to go off far shorter than that.
Yeah. Speaking of there not being a lot of pace, I landed on a lone A in this race, and it's
Oh, here
not
we
the
go.
favorite. And that's going to be the 7 Sumter. Mike Smith gets aboard here. Has ridden this horse a couple of times, most notably when won the Singletary in April of last year here at Santa Anita. Um, you know, all this horse has done over a mile on the turf at Santa Anita is win, and has done it on the front end and has done it very well. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to single this horse. Mike Smith is going to get this horse out in the front end. I don't think he's going to get any kind of pace pressure. And I think race 1 is going to be wired by Sumter here. And that's all I'm going to use here. No B's, nothing. Just going to be single A here to the 7 Sumter. I did see that you also like the 7 Sumter. And I'm guessing you kind of saw the same thing. That's why you had to include this horse.
I did, yes. I like the fact that this horse is going sprint to route. I don't think he's a sprinter, but I got to hand it to you, Josh. Singling Mike Smith in a turf race to start a pick 5.
Turf
That
God Mike
takes some
Smith.
guts. Takes some
Turf
guts
God
right
Mike
there.
Smith. That's how we refer to him here.
Well, I'm using Sumter, and it would not surprise me if he got comfortable out on the front end, but I don't think the race is quite as simple as that. My mindset is if I beat Balnikov, I want to move on. I'm going 4 deep in this particular race. The one that intrigues me a little bit more is number 3, I'm a Gambler, who will be ridden by Flavian Pratt, European making the first start. And you see a horse that over in Europe, look, I don't know what he was beating, but he's won 4 of his last 5, and he's looked darn good doing it. You take a look at a horse that has some tactical speed, a horse for whom I don't think the 1 mile distance is going to be a huge problem. And if Flavian Pratt is getting on this horse, chances are it's showing something in the mornings or around the barns. He's not coming in just to have mounts in these particular races. He's coming in to win these races. So I'm a Gambler would probably be my top pick if I had to make one. In addition to Sumter, I'm also going to use number 4, Time to Party. I know it shows that in the last race he was 5 3/4 lengths back at the second point of call and rallied to win. That I thought was a tremendous ride by Joe Bravo because that race melted down. That's not necessarily what this horse wants to do. I think he's going to be up a little bit closer, maybe 2 or 3 lengths off the pace. And I also think number 6, Handy Dandy, is going to get that kind of trip as well. Comes in off of a 4th place finish in the Grade 1 Hollywood Derby, comes back to what's probably the right level, and anything close to that 2-back win in the Let It Ride would likely make him pretty tough to beat in here. He's probably going to be the second choice, especially given that Joel Rosario sees fit to ride for Miller. But I'm trying to beat the chalk in here. I think Balnikov is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 6-5, 7-5. Again, I'm not saying he can't win, but at that price, I can't back him, especially given the likely race shape. And Josh, I wouldn't be surprised at all if your Lone A runs away and hides on the front end.
Yeah, let's hope so because I have another single coming up here in race 2. And this is there's a couple of maiden races in this sequence here in the early sequence, and I kind of had a tough time with some of these. You got a lot of first time starters. I believe it's the third race might be basically all first time starters with a couple of horses with
It's
starts
the
in there.
fourth you're talking about,
Oh,
and
is it
there
the
are a
fourth?
bunch of
Yeah,
firsters in there. Yeah.
yeah. There's a couple of really tough races. And yeah, so I kind of was just looking through, and I'm looking for places where I can be skinny because I kind of feel like late in the later legs I need coverage. I need more horses to feel comfortable. So that's kind of where I kind of took my stands early here. And in race 2, I took another single, and that's going to be the Bob Baffert trained number 2 Purified. And it's kind of funny because I do look at your ticket, and you're not using this one either. I think you're trying to get around these Baffert horses. I'm not being a chalk eating weasel and taking both the Baffert horses. That's a Mark Capitan move. Cue the truck sounds again, but
Beep, beep, beep.
but yeah, I think I'm gonna single this 2 here, Purified. And really, it was kind of tough to separate this one from the other Baffert horse. I was kind of going back and forth between the two, which one I liked more. Um, but with Purified, I kind of looked at this horse and I'm like, this horse has at least passed other horses. This horse has also kind of run into buzzsaws in 2 of their 3 starts in Hopkins, who is probably going to be a very, very short price in what's the 2-year-old stakes? It's not the Malibu. It's Malibu's the 3-year-old, the older horses, but there's a 2-year-old stakes
There's
race.
not going to be anything for 2-year-olds unless you're talking about turf races. You might be talking about the Sham, which is the first points race out here. But I mean, who trains Hopkins? Is that a Baffert? I don't
It is a
think it's
Baffert horse.
okay. Then yeah, he's not going to be eligible to get points in that race if he winds up going there.
I could have sworn he's on this card. Yeah, race 6. He's in
Oh,
race 6.
never mind. Never mind. I derped. Okay. That's a highly technical term, by the way. I thought it was going to be, yeah. The 6, yes, San Antonio. Never mind.
Yep.
4-year-old. For some reason, I thought the second race was a 2-year-old race because there are so many lightly raced horses in that race. So don't
Oh
mind
yeah,
me. I'm
it's a
just
4-year-old. Yeah,
yeah,
sorry.
don't mind
Um,
us. We're, clearly in the holiday spirit and we've clearly drank too much eggnog. And if you'd like to continue to support our eggnog purchases, like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching this on YouTube, or give us a 5-star rating wherever you happen to get your podcasts.
Yeah, and this is just once again me. I mean, these PPs came out literally hours ago, and this is me mixing races up again.
Yeah, and we
Purified,
by the
yeah.
way, we've been handicapping this on the back foot. We both thought that these entries were going to come out far sooner than they did. Now, to be fair, it's Wednesday and these entries are for Monday. So they're still very, very early, but we literally figured out what we were going to do for this an hour and a half before the show aired. So if it sounds like we're handicapping without a net, we are.
But anyways, Hopkins looks to be a big player in that sixth race. I know Country Grammar's in that race as well, but you know, that horse, ran into that horse there, and then the second place finisher in that horse came back to beat him again in that last race. So I don't think you're going to see a Hopkins type in this race. So I think going to be in a little bit easier company here in this race. Like I said, this horse has passed other horses, which is something that you like to see in these maiden races, because very often you'll see these horses with all these ones, and they get tired late and they get passed. So. I'm looking for a Purified to kind of sit off, do that Baffert grinding trip where he sits, just off, and then once it gets to the stretch, just grinds the horse into submission. So yeah, I'm going with the two Purified here, and I'm kind of, you know, I'm trying to stay skinny here early because I'm going to be using some more horses later on.
Sure. I hear you. Wait a minute. Hang on. I'm getting a message. It's from the great beyond and a great handicapper by the name of Harvey Pack, who said, never bet a horse as the favorite doing something it's never done before. Purified goes 2 turns. I see Lord Nelson up at the top. I don't know if this horse wants to go 2 turns. And also, I see Bletchley Park in this race. If you can find me a worse use of $2.6 million than Bletchley Park in the past couple of years, I don't know what it is, because this horse has shown.
2.6 million into FTX.
There we go.
Okay.
We got a winner. We got a winner here. Too soon, I know, for some of you crypto folks out there. Again, he's the one saying that, not me. Anyway, Bletchley Park is in this race. And if Purified was that well meant, why is Baffert running 2 horses? That gives me some cause for concern. And as a result, I'm going too deep against the Bafferts in this spot. There is going to be another race in this sequence where I use all of the Bafferts because I don't know how many of them are going to run, and I figure he's going to win, and I just want to get through the leg. This isn't that race. Number 1, Princip is my top pick. This one took a pretty significant step forward off of the debut, I thought. Didn't have a great trip in that debut race. That was the Hopkins race that we've mentioned. Came back, went 2 turns, stretching out at second asking, made the lead, and went pretty quickly doing it. 22-1 for the opening quarter, 46 for the half, and still winds up running second behind a horse in courtside that had an absolutely perfect trip and sprouted wings and flew turning for home. That's a nice horse from the John Shirrup's barn. Princip, I think, is sitting on another improved race, has some speed from the rail in a race that doesn't have a ton of early zips signed on. Maybe Bletchley Park goes to set things up for the stablemate. I don't know. But Princip, to me, looks like the most likely winner. I'll also go down to the far outside, bottom of the page. That's Pelagio, horse number 6 in the program. And to me, he just looks a lot better at Santa Anita than he did at Del Mar. If you go back to that second out race on May 14th, you see a 90 Briz speed figure, second beating a nose in 137. Anything close to that sort of effort, and I think Pelagio is going to be pretty tough. The question is, does he like Santa Anita more than Del Mar, or did he peak a little bit early? At his likely price, though, I've got to use him. Those are questions that are very valid if a horse is going to be 6-5, 7-5. But I think Pelagio is going to be closer to 6-1 than 6-5. And at that price, I need him on the tickets. 1 and 6 for me, trying to beat both of the Bafferts in the second leg. And if I get through the first 2 legs here, Josh, I've beaten the favorite in the opener. I've beaten the favorite in the second race. And all of a sudden, this starts looking really interesting.
And you've also beaten me because my ticket will be dead if you make it through the first 2 legs.
Sorry about that, Chief.
Let's move on here to race 3, the San Gabriel. Here we're going to be going a mile and eighth on the turf. I took the first. I went first the first 2. So why don't you talk to me about this race?
Sure. I thought this was a pretty formful race, and I'm using the likely 2 choices. Number 2, Master of Foxhounds, did everything but win the grade 2 Seabiscuit last month. And before that, did win the John Henry, another grade 2 race. This is a horse that has been close a lot over the course of his career. You see a lot of seconds and thirds over the last year or so. Second in the Charlie Whittingham, third in the Shoemaker Mile, has danced a lot of dances. Tough horse, easy to root for, always seems like he shows up. The last couple of starts, though, it sure seems like they've made an effort to get him on the lead early. They did that in the John Henry, goes wire to wire. They do that in the Seabiscuit, and he went pretty fast that day. You see 109 and 2 for the first 6 furlongs, finishes third beaten a neck by Hong Kong Harry and Beyond Brilliant. Those are decent horses, and I feel like this field is a little bit of a class drop for him. I think he's going to be the one to catch in more ways than one. The other that I'm going to use is a horse in Prince Obama, number 6. Won the grade 2 Hollywood Turf Cup last time out, and I wasn't sure he wanted to go a mile and a half. Then again, I don't think anyone else in that field wanted to go a mile and a half either. That was not a good field that Prince Obama wound up beating. He cuts back to what sure as heck seems like his preferred distance, was third in the City of Hope Mile over this turf course, was then second in the Lure. This is a nice runner that is going to get a perfect stalking trip just off the speed. We know Master of Foxhounds has some early speed. I think Rip City has one way of going from the rail. Go On may have some early speed. Bob and Jackie coming off the layoff sure looks like an early speed type. And I think Prince Obama might get first run beneath Flavian Pratt. 2-6 for me in this particular race. And Josh, I've got a question for you since you're down to this part of the forum. What the heck is number 7 Flashiest doing in this race?
Filling out the field.
That's
I'm not
pretty
really
much
sure.
what I'm thinking. I'm thinking somebody wasn't sure if this race was going to fill, so they called Leonard Powell and said, "Hey, can you do us a favor?" My goodness, there's nothing about this horse that says this horse deserves to be in this particular race. And I know for a fact I'm talking him into the winner's circle as I say this. So you don't have to remind me of that fact. But of the horses in this field, that's the one where if that horse winds up beating me, I say, okay, I was never going to have that horse. Move on.
And gets Joel Rosario aboard, which is just like the craziest part of this. Like,
He must have just needed a mount.
yeah, I'm guessing maybe this horse is scratches. I'm not really sure. Yeah,
Weird though, right?
it is, especially like I said with Joel getting aboard. Like, last time when Joel rode Santa Anita full time, he just dummied the entire colony. So he knows how to ride at Santa Anita. Um, so I really had no clue. I'm just like, okay, like maybe like you said, someone asked for a favor or something. Um, I agree with you on the two Master of Foxhounds. I think is going to be tough in this spot. Is going to be cutting back or is stretching out a little bit. And I think his best races have kind of been in that going a little bit longer than the mile and 16th he went last time. So I don't really know if a mile and the eighth is enough. I think maybe he wants a mile and a quarter or more, but it back class is there, right? The horse, the figs fit. The horse is gonna be forwardly placed, which is something I always like out west because they actually do ride their horses. Unlike Naira Colony, where sometimes you just like look at the form and it's like, hey, 4 of these horses are going to go to the lead, and none of the horses go to the lead. So, um, yeah, I don't know. What Master Foxhounds is going to do. He's got one way forward. He's gonna be out in the front. Um, Unlike you, I think if there is a bunch of pace in this race, I think that this helps out the 3 Dicey Mochara the best. Kind of the presser type, P type here on the the Briz form is 1 for 3 at the distance. And if you kind of go back and look at his mile and the eighth races from February of earlier this year, November of last, or yeah, the February race mostly is what I was looking at. He won a nice race there with Flavian Pratt aboard. Um, he kind of went out and has kind of been sitting in second, third, second, fourth. Kind of sitting, collecting checks, but hasn't shown up in the winner's circle there. But I really do think that the cutback's going to help on Dicey Mochara here, cutting back from the 1.5 miles. So I really like Dicey Mochara in this spot as kind of my second choice. I'm going to use both those horses equally, the 2 and the 3, and you know, hopefully we get past this leg.
One thing I will say about Dicey Mochara, big rider switch. Nothing against Ryan Curatolo, but you go to Juan Hernandez, that is a big, big step up. A side note, I remember when Ryan Curatolo was riding the Naira circuit, what seems like 10 or 15 years ago. He comes back at Santa Anita either last year or the year before, and all of a sudden he's holding his own against a pretty darn tough rider colony. So, not quite sure what happened there, and nothing against him, but Juan Hernandez is an excellent rider and has been for some time.
All right, let's move on here to race 4,
Race number
which was
4. And before we get started here, Josh, when I sent my ticket, I screwed up. I meant to say 347. I think I said 346. Again, we sort of rushed getting through this because entries finally came out. So just making sure we're on the same page here. And I'm going to be very, very short with my analysis of this particular race. I think Baffert wins. That's it. Bob Baffert has 3 first-time starters. They're all bred very, very well. They all commanded very large purchase prices at auction, either earlier this year or last year. You look at these horses, you see number 3, Faustin, by Curlin out of a mare named Hard Not to Like. Hard Not to Like was a very, very nice horse. You see number 4, Sonoran. One Baffert trains, the other Baffert owns. A $5,000 sire price and an auction price of $230,000. Someone impressed someone with regard to this horse. And then you look at Worcester, horse number 7. Of the 3, this is the one I wasn't necessarily crazy about. I see that pedigree and I don't see a sprinter. I see a horse that wants to go very, very long. But then you look at the work tab and you see a whole bunch of bullets. I don't know if Bob Baffert is going to run 3 in this spot. I'll use all of the ones that he does run, though. 3, 4, or 7 here. And look, I understand this might be seen as taking the coward's way out, and I may very well get defensive be alerted by my co-host, but if I've beaten the favorites in the first 2 legs, I can afford to spread a little bit here.
I ended up doing the same exact thing as you. So I no horns, nothing unless I'm going to call it on myself. But I don't feel like we're in the Christmas mood.
Indeed, we
We're in the
are.
giving
Yes.
mood here. Um, yeah, I had a hard time separating these Baffert horses, and I kind of said the same thing for race 2, but I really had a hard time here to the point where I wrote down Sonoran as possibly a B. Um, so maybe I kind of don't roll with it, and really the only reason I would even do that is because of the work tab, and I like rarely ever use the work tab, so like I feel like that's just like a stupid thing like to all of a sudden change, and do something different. So I think I'm gonna end up using them all equally. My ticket was small, so I'm gonna use the 3, the 4, and the 7, and this is kind of a survive and advance type leg. Like, I, one of these Bafferts is gonna just be an absolute freak. I just do not know which one.
Right.
If I had to guess, my guess is it's. You see, I wanted to say the 3. I thought it was going to be the 3 with that work. That horse worked in 46 and 4, 2 back, and then came back and just worked 5 furlongs in under a minute, 59 and 1. I mean, that's gas. So I'm guessing that this 3 is just going to rip out of the gate. But who knows? He's got 2 other possible monsters in here. Like I don't know. So I'm going to use the 3 of them equally. I'm I don't know, I'm not going to think about it that hard.
Yep.
Um,
The other school of thought here, and this is something that I know at least one excellent handicapper out there is going to take, and I can't fault it too much, is if Baffert enters all 3 and runs them, are any of them any good? Now, that goes against the work tab that we've seen, and I don't necessarily think it applies in this spot. One thing I will mention though, if number 5 Yellow Brick was trained by a conditioner that traditionally had first time starters ready to fire at a higher clip, I'd be interested. You see Quality Road and you see a more than ready mare. There's class top and bottom, but you also see Richard Mandela, one of the greatest trainers in California in the last 30 years. He's a fantastic horseman, and there are very few barns that I trust more in most spots. With first time starters, though, he's not all that great. The daily racing form has him at 7% over his last 40 such starters. With 2 year olds, he's 10% with his last 30. Just hits me as a horse that probably needs a race or two to get going. But you look and you see a 6 furlong working 112 and 3. So if that horse runs in this race, maybe finishes third or fourth, beaten 5 or 6 lengths, that's a horse you probably want second time out, go and sprint to route. Problem is, you're probably not going to get much of a price on it.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna do a quick little search here, um, and see if I can find a little bit sassy's progeny here.
Yeah, and for those of you that are not watching this on YouTube, you're listening on podcast channels. First of all, thank you. We very much appreciate you. According to the Briz past performances, the Dam a little bit sassy, who is by more than ready as mentioned, has 2 winners from 3 starters, and those 2 winners were stakes winners. So this is a Dam that certainly knows how to throw a runner.
Um, one of the so let's do a little callback here, right? Let's go back to race one.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, that's great. For those of you on podcast land, Sumter, Josh's single in race number 1, is a half to Yellow Brick.
That's funny.
That's
Uh,
hilarious.
yeah. So Sumter, and then the other horse is a horse named Pizzazz.
I remember Pizzazz. I liked Pizzazz a little bit as a 2 year old, I believe.
That was
Yeah, yeah.
another Mandela horse.
Sumter is a war front, and this horse is a Quality Road. Wow, that's a pretty fun twist.
Yeah. So yeah, because yeah, when I was looking at it, it's 100% win rate with 2 year olds with the Dam, 3 starters, 2 winners, and 2 stakes wins.
Yep.
So yeah, it was just interesting to see that. But yeah, because like these are good numbers.
Yeah,
If there
for
weren't any
sure.
Bafferts in here, or if this is like a Luis Mendez, I really think that this horse wants the green stuff. But
Yeah, and probably wants to go 2 turns on the green stuff for sure. But
yeah.
nice prospect for sure. Certainly would want to throw that one in the stable mail if the horse shows anything first time out. As we move on to the 5th, which is, of course, the payoff leg of the early pick 5, as well as the early pick 4. This is a maiden race for horses going a mile on the turf, bunch of 2 year olds, in fact, a full field. And Josh, my best bet of the sequence is in this particular race, and that's number 5, Dandy Man Shines. They clearly thought enough of this horse coming over from Europe to run him in a pair of graded stakes races. And it's not like Dandy Man Shines disgraced himself in either of those runs. Was fourth in the Delmar Juvenile Turf. That's a grade 3. Was sixth beaten 5 3/4 in the Zuma Beach. Didn't have great trips on either of those occasions against horses like Paxa Wallop, who shipped in for the Breeders' Cup over at Keeneland. The third place finisher from the Zuma Beach also came right back to win. They brought this horse back in a maiden special weight race. Didn't have a great trip that day either, but still second beaten just a length and a quarter after being 9 lengths back at the second point of call. That's not where you want to be in California. As a reminder, the whip rule at Santa Anita, very, very strict. You don't want a horse that's going to have some trouble picking the way through the field. Having said that, though, I see a horse that's on the upswing. I see a bunch of other horses that sort of look exactly the same. And if Dandy Man Shines doesn't win, of the runners that have some experience, I don't know who does. I think if you're going to single anybody in this sequence, you single Dandy Man Shines, the probable favorite in race number 5. Now, Josh, I did see at least one A on your sheet. It's not Dandy Man Shines, and it's also not a horse that has a start here in the United States. So Tell me what I'm missing with Maltese Falcon.
All right. So I landed on the same thing as you. I thought, you know what? I'm going to single this 5. Like, that's got to be the play. But then my inner Caleb hit me.
Your
And if
inner
there's
Caleb.
one,
Now,
and
hang
if
on,
there's,
hang on. Is your inner Caleb handsome?
I mean, very handsome.
Yes. The
He's
camera does not do Caleb justice.
yeah. But unfortunately, uh, this is both one of the best qualities of Caleb's handicapping and also his downfall. And that's finding a favorite he just does not like and just playing against it aggressively. And if this horse has got 5 starts and yes, has ridden in stakes racing, group twos, grade 3, and then came back to a maiden and still didn't win. And I'll tell you, there was a 3-year-old this year that kept showing up in stake races and looked like he was at some point going to break his maiden, and never did. Or at least I don't think he did. And if he has, it's probably been like some maiden claiming somewhere in Command Performance. I don't know if you remember that horse.
Command Performance, the Pletcher horse.
Yeah, though
Yep.
that it was a maiden and they kept running in stakes racing and never broke. I don't even know if this horse has broke his maiden yet. This horse has had 5 tries. They've put him in some really aggressive spots. I I don't know if they've necessarily ruined the horse yet. But yeah, looking on figs, looking at everything. I mean, yeah, this horse should walk, but this horse should have walked last time too. This horse probably should have walked in the debutante or the juvenile turf that he came over for. He got bet like he was going to win.
And really quick, we did say that he ran 4th in that race. He was actually placed 3rd through
Placed third from
DQ.
DQ.
That's what happens when you have a really eventful trip. Sometimes that stuff gets bumped down to the next line in the past performances. So you're dealing with a horse that's graded stakes placed. The one thing I will say as a concession is this is probably a now or never spot for Dandy Man Shines. And if he doesn't come through in this spot, he goes probably on the dreaded dead to me list, which I know every handicapper out.
Yeah, it's
I
a
don't know what that.
disaster.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah,
disaster.
yes, yeah. Dead to me if this horse doesn't particularly run well in this race, just simply because, again, of the American runners, none of them have shown an overwhelming amount of talent, and I think Dandy Man Shines could very well wind up still being a stakes horse, given some maturity and given the right trip. Now, again, of the horses that have run here. You talked about your stance against Dandy Man Shines. Tell me your stance for Maltese Falcon.
My stance for Maltese Falcon is new shooter. Has got 1 race and is coming over here, coming overseas, and his first race was on soft ground. He's going to get firmer ground. And I often think that a lot of these horses that come overseas, the reason they ship them over is one of 2 things. They either probably need Lasix, which this horse is not getting here, or especially if it's a turf horse, they need firm ground because that's not something that they run in overseas. And I mean, this is, you want to talk about regally bred, right? You got Caravaggio on the top, son of Scat Daddy, and then you got a Galileo mare. I mean, this is this is a very, very nicely bred horse. Probably should have been more expensive than the horse came out of. I mean, not that I know anything about buying a horse, but yeah, I mean, I'm taking a shot against this 5, and I actually took 4 horses in this race to try and beat this 5. So I'm not 100% sold on this 4, but I don't know what this 4 is, and that's intriguing enough to me, and was probably the reason why Flavian Pratt got aboard, because it's probably intriguing enough for him, looking at the rest of the field in this race. So yeah, I'm tossing the 5 here, which is your single. I'm probably going to be live in this race and going to get boomed by this horse. But,
Well, if you're live, that means I'm dead because remember, we go dead against each other in the second
yep.
race as well.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, got
The other horses I used the 8 Low Expectations, the 10 Smart Code, and the 12 Zio Joe.
Zio
You,
Joe's post to me is a killer. If Zio Joe had drawn more favorably, I would like this horse a lot more, but I see a stalker and I see a horse that may well get marooned out in post 12.
if you liked the race that the 5 ran last time, Dandy Man Shines, I I think you kind of got to like the 10 a little bit here. Smart Code. I mean, just completely missed the start, found a bunch of trouble, and ended up coming late to finish fourth by 3.5 lengths. My one real big concern with this is Kyle Frey was aboard when he found all the trouble. And Kyle Frey is also aboard here. And that does not necessarily instill a ton of confidence in me that all of a sudden he's going to be able to work out a better trip. But, you know, this is a plus move for Mark Glatt. Second route race, second grass race, first time blinkers, all of this. If you look on the Brisnet form, look plus. I'm going to take a shot with this 10. I'm hoping I'm going to get a price on this horse. I mean, I know if the Brisnet speed figure is good, I don't know what buyer looks like, but hey, maybe I get a nice little price on this 10. And, like I said, I'm just looking for ways to get around this 5. Um, the 8 Low Expectations, I feel like those 2 Del Mar races were both pretty good. Got out on the front end and, wasn't didn't finish. But the thing is that these types of horses, eventually, they might get a little brave on the front end and they might finish. So I know Mario's going to ride this horse aggressively again. And I don't know, that race 2 back doesn't look that bad compared to the rest of the field here. Um, and then you already mentioned Zio Joe. Yeah, hey, JJ's getting back aboard, which means he must see something on this horse that he's going to give this horse another shot. Isn't out in the parking lot, which doesn't make you give you all the warm and fuzzies. But if anybody can work a trip out from the parking lot at Santa Anita, I think it's JJ. So yeah, I'm just fading this 5, and I'm 4 deep here. I got the 4, the 8, the 10, and the 12.
So here's a fun stat for you with the 8 Low Expectations, who certainly seems like the main early speed in this race on paper. You see trainer Antonio Garcia, and admittedly, I'm not familiar with that barn. You look at the daily racing form, you see 44 starts on the year. You see a big 0 next to it. If Low Expectations winds up going wire to wire, I think you're going to hear the winner's celebration from your place just outside Chicago, Josh.
Hey, they paid a lot for this horse.
Well, it's
It's a
a
Redham
Redham
racing
horse,
horse
so
too.
yeah, there's some pedigree here by Nyquist out of a Tappet mare. The races at Del Mar, not bad, but I look at those and I see perfect trips, slow paces, and yes, this horse ran fine both of those times. But wasn't he supposed to win one of those races? And look, this horse is probably going to get bet a little bit at 8-1, I could sort of find an argument for this horse that, hey, maybe today's the day he gets loose. But in my experience, these are the horses that always seem like they're supposed to win, always seem like horses that are supposed to take money. They wind up hitting the top of the stretch in front, and then the warning lights start coming on. And what I'm hoping is the warning lights start coming on, and it's Dandy Man Shines running away and hiding to bring home a $24 late pick, or early pick 5 ticket, I should say, on opening day at Santa Anita for yours truly. And if that happens, I'm probably buying brunch for everybody at Healdsburg. So, see how that goes.
This horse went off at odds of 56-1, 72-1, and 22-1.
Yeah.
I see no way that this horse is less than double digits.
You think so? Because
Yeah.
the last couple of races, and look, it's a case where the 2-back race, horse that ran third also shows up in this particular spot. Granted, isn't also eligible, but it's not like the figures are totally out of whack. We'll see what happens here. I understand why you're trying to go against Dandy Man Shines. Personally, I thought that Dandy Man Shines loomed incredibly large over this field. And if he continues forward progression, which I think he will, I think he's going to be very, very tough. And this is a favorite that I just have no interest in going against.
Fair enough. We'll go ahead and we'll put your ticket up here. You got a
Yep.
$24 play, and we basically kind of we didn't really flip, but I was definitely skinny early, and you are not skinny early. So why don't you walk us through your ticket here?
Sure. So I'm trying to beat Balnikov in race number one, the Mathis Mile. I'm trying to beat the Bafferts in race number two. We do that. We clear those two bars. We knock out a lot of tickets. I'm going logical in race number three, race number four. However many Bafferts run, I will be using all of them. And if one or two of them wind up scratching, that's a pretty big endorsement of the ones that wind up running. And then we get to race number five with Dandy Man Shines, my best bet in the sequence, at least before scratches. Right now, it's a $24 ticket. If one Baffert scratches, it gets down to 16. If two Bafferts scratch, it gets down to an $8 ticket. So we're not trying to break the bank here. We're going with what I think is a very budget friendly ticket. And again, we beat the chalk in the first two legs. All of a sudden, this has some steam. And remember, the early pick five at Santa Anita, low takeout, 15%, I believe. So certainly a player friendly wager if you're able to beat a couple of favorites along the way.
Yep. And Andrew's ticket is 3, 4, 6, 7 with 1, 6, with 2, 6, with 3, 4, 7, with 5. That's $24 ticket for 50 cents. And yeah, I'm coming a little bit different than you here. I'm singling the 7 in leg one,
We're okay there.
singling the 2 in race
We're
2.
not okay there.
Then I'm using the 2 and the 3 in leg 3. 3, 4, 7, the same as you there
In
in leg
Baffert,
4.
we trust.
And then I'm going 4 wide, 4, 8, 10, 12 to try to beat your single to 5 there in the last leg. That's a $12 ticket. If I play this, or I am going to play this, but I'm not going to play it for 50 cents. I'll probably, I don't know. It depends how how I'm feeling, but in the between 2 and 5x, I'll be playing this. So that's generally where I'm kind of keeping my I keep my pick five tickets around there. I I've hit on skinny tickets like this before, and you hit it for $1, and maybe it only pays $200 or something, but you hit it for $1. Hey, that's $400. It's that's not nothing. So I will yeah, I'll be leveraging this up a little bit, but yeah, I'm skinny in the front, and we'll see how we go here. But yeah, that's gonna do it for us. Andrew, what do you got going on? Anything? Any other content you got coming out this week, or are you just chilling until Christmas?
Yeah, I'm just chilling, wearing my Santa hat, being all jolly. Actually, looking forward to this. My girlfriend and I are going to a couple of shows in San Francisco over the next few days. We're seeing a production of Beetlejuice at one San Francisco theater on Friday,
Oh,
and
nice.
then we are going to Original Joe's down in Daly City, which has some of the best Italian food in the Bay Area. It's very hard to find good Italian food out here, but these guys do it as well as anybody. So we're seeing that. And we're seeing the Nutcracker on Christmas Eve because we needed something fun to do on Christmas Eve. So that'll be a blast. As far as other stuff that I've got coming out, I mean, by all means, stay tuned to my social media platforms at Andrew Champagne on Twitter, at 142 Winners over on Instagram. You'll be able to see every bit of content that I've got, from racing to sports to pretty much anything else. So just trying to enjoy myself this week. It's going to be a lot of fun, especially with Santa Anita and Gulfstream starting their big winter spring meets on the same day for the first time. It's a gigantic racing palooza. And of course, if we know anything about Gulfstream, there's going to be about 9,000 races with about 9,000 post drags. And it's entirely possible that Santa Anita finishes up first.
Yep. I do want to mention. Where was it? Is it? I saw somebody post something. Let me see if I can find it. No, I have no idea where it's at. But apparently there is a new wager. They're going to be rolling out. The Stronach Group's going to be rolling out a new wager. It's going to be $1 pick five. That's going to include Gulfstream, and Santa Anita. So similar to the
So
Golden
hang on, hang
Hour.
on, hang on. So are you saying that this is a pick five that goes across the country?
Yeah, I think they called it the Coast to Coast Pick Five,
Just
if I
call it the
remember.
cross country pick five for goodness sake.
That's
I
Naira.
understand somebody would
Naira's got that on lockdown.
pay him for it. No, it's just any excuse we can get to bring up the fact that the cross country pick five is no more because somebody smart found a vulnerability in the system. We're going to take that.
Yeah, I don't remember where I saw it. I saw it somewhere. I'm checking all my sources, but I did see that come out. I'm wondering if the Golden Hour, I'm guessing, is going to be coming back with Golden Gate opening back up. But yeah, it's those wagers are fun. Higher base, lower takeout, and the payouts are always good. So
Especially if you beat a favorite, and it only takes beating one favorite in order to get some really, really nice payouts in play.
yep. And then we will be live Thursday night, so that's probably the day you're listening to this. We'll be taking a look at the late pick five live on Thursday night, and for opening day, and we'll be playing a little Turfway. We're gonna pause our contest because we got tracks moving around because of the weather and stuff, and Turfway may not even run.
You just
Honestly,
don't want Mark playing Delta. You can be honest.
no. If I wanted Mark not playing Delta, we would have ran the contest on Thursday, but because Delta is moving to noon on Thursday due to the weather, we're going to go ahead and we're going to pass with only one
Well,
track
if you were
possibly
playing
running.
Delta that night, then that would really be a problem because Mark would have all the results already. So,
Yeah,
all the
that's
more
true.
reason not to play it.
Yeah, it'd be like having Biff's Sports
Sports
Almanac all over
almanac.
again. But yeah, and then we're tentative for Monday doing a stream. I got to check with the other guys. Everybody, I asked a bunch of people, and everyone's like, "That's a really great idea," and then it's like, I got to find out if I can do it. And so I'm like, all right, that's fine.
I can try to chime in from the brunch table, and
Don't you
I
dare.
will show you the dirty looks that I get.
No, don't you
You know what
dare.
that is? That's social media content gold right there. A whole bunch of people scowling at me. That's apparently what a lot of people do on Twitter when they see my posts anyway.
All right, well, that's gonna do it. Do it for us. Obviously, we'll bring the Christmas music back in. But check us out at onthewronglead.com, at wrong_lead on Twitter, and yeah, like, subscribe, download the podcast, do both, help get us numbers up, and have a Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.